Hello everyone, my name is Vicky and it's a while since I've done one of these videos. I have no excuses. But my series is called Calling All Grandmothers, which I've extended to Calling All Grandparents. And it's to remind us older folks that if we're still alive and on this planet, God still has a purpose for us. And I thought I'd talk today about one of my weakest points, communication. If it goes right, great. But if communication goes wrong, disaster can strike. People turn up at the wrong place at the wrong time. It happened just the other day. I forgot to tell a friend where we were meeting. So they turned up at the right time, but in the wrong location. Entirely my fault. But if there's a breakdown in communication between friends or neighbours and even countries, the arguments and enmity between each other can have devastating effects. And, miscommunication could lead to wars, and you need intervening help to diplomatically, is that the right word? Diplomatically resolve things. It can have devastating effects. So going back, I was the quiet one in my family. I'm one of 3 girls and I'm the quiet one. I never used to communicate very much, never put my hand up in class because I didn't want anybody to turn around and find out who was asking the teacher a question. And I'm still the quiet one in the family and usually the last one to speak. People might think I don't have strong opinions about anything or nothing to say, but I've developed some strong opinions recently, and I've got some firm views. The first is about Jesus. That is non-negotiable. He is my Lord and Saviour, first and foremost. And secondly, in my later years, I've chosen not to conform to the mould that I used to fit in. I used to be very conforming to everybody, teachers, and fairly compliant. But I've decided, in my older years, that I am stronger than I thought I was. And I wish I'd had the courage to not fit the mould sooner in life. So the way the world communicates these days is through social media, and I'll call them they tell you what they want you to hear. And recently there's been much controversy, as they always tell you the bad news. They don't tell you any good news, and they will try and keep us living in fear and panic for as long as it sells news and newspapers and makes great headlines, because good news doesn't sell newspapers. So hold steady. Do not fear, do not panic when they tell you bad news. Remember the old-fashioned wartime posters that have recently had a resurgence in the 2000s, I don't know how you say, or the noughties as they call that, the keep calm and carry on posters that you used to see on mugs, on walls, and posters in people's homes and everywhere. Be that person. Be that person that keeps calm and carries on in times of crisis. There's a Bible verse in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. It says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." And in another Bible version it says, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love and self-discipline." So we're always prepared for tests and trials ahead. We might not think so, but He prepares us ahead of time. And at the moment, we've got drought conditions going on and hose pipe bans everywhere, more fear and panic. They, the media, are communicating that it's the worst drought since 1976. But they forget to remind you that in 1976, we managed through that drought. We got through it relatively easy with a few inconveniences. And just like that one, we will survive this drought relatively easily with a few inconveniences. We just learn to waste less water for a while. And that's a good habit anyway, isn't it? To waste less. It's just logical and it saves money. And it makes us more resourceful with the resources that God has already given us. We learn to use them for the best and not waste them. Recently, in this neighbourhood where I live, the bins weren't collected for a while. There was a strike, so the bin men decided they weren't going to collect our bins until it was resolved. It was resolved, but I learned, to compost, and I quite enjoyed having a compost pile, and I will get a great result at the end of it. I'll get great compost and great soil in the future if I keep on doing it, which I can do. My ground is tired and weary because it's had very little rain. It did rain the other day and had a great big downpour. But, if I put compost on there, I'll get a great result in next year or the year after, and I'll keep doing this. They're also warning us, the media, are also warning us of increased prices and power cuts. Again, if we are calm, keep calm and carry on, we just learn to waste less, only using what we absolutely need. My mum used to say when they were going through the war, she was a child in the war, and they had wartime shortages and rationing, they used to make the most of a piece of paper at school, because paper was obviously hard to come by. And so she used to write in pencil on lined paper on the top of the line, and when that piece of paper was finished to the bottom, she used to turn the paper around and write on the bottom of the line again, and it was just, you read the line of the text that you can read horizontally, and then turn the paper up and read the same sheet of paper with writing on the other side of the line. You use things, the resources that you have, to the best and the maximum use that you can get from them. You waste less. Even when the pencil ink had run out, if they were still short of paper, they used to use ink on top of the pencil and just do the same, turn the paper upside down, write on one side of the line. We are stronger than we believe, and we can do this. We can keep calm and carry on. Remember, God is our provider, and He has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I always do these videos when the sun starts to come in and blinds me, so I apologise if you can't see me. I'm in a kind of a sunshine kind of, at least it's sunny. Thank you, Lord, for the sunshine. So along with the hosepipe bans, and if power cuts do lie ahead this winter, we have to prepare for it. So we could do what farmers do, get up when the sun rises and go to sleep when it sets. So we just use less electricity for lighting. We minimise the need that we have to rely on gas and electricity, and prepare a bit in advance so we don't become anxious if and when that time approaches. If, in the lockdowns, we had a bit of a power cut here, so I was fortunate enough to have a barbecue with some gas still left in the gas bottle, and I was there boiling some water for the couple of hours that I didn't have electricity to make a cup of tea. So I was boiling water and made a barbecue cup of tea. Be calm and carry on. The media will always give you the worst case scenario, so we've got to be like wartime heroes, because this is a kind of a battle that we're in. And if the heating goes off, get under blankets, get under your duvet, put on extra jumpers. I used to have this freezing cold bedroom when I was a child, north facing in Wales, freezing cold. And so if you're cold, my mum said, put on another jumper, and just to walk around like that with loads of jumpers on. But if we have power cuts in the winter, we've got to be prepared not to have our social media on TV or on radios too, or on computers. We can survive that. Would you believe we can survive without social media? So if we need or would like to have a radio, get batteries for it now, so that we can operate a radio and still have somebody chatting to us in the evenings, or daytime. Or we could even read a book, or get out the old board games or playing cards or jigsaws like we did in lockdown. A lot of people were sharing jigsaws around neighbourhoods and putting them up on Facebook that, does anybody want this jigsaw? I know if in a power cut we wouldn't have a Facebook to share videos, but there's neighbours outside the door in most locations. Or even better, pick up that Bible that's on your shelf Dust it off, and you'll find out much more about God, who actually made this world and who will tell you what will actually happen in the future. Not what the media says will happen, but what will actually happen. You won't need to read the horoscopes or the bad news in the newspaper. God tells you much more accurate information if you really want to find it. So just prepare now for what could happen in the future, and it will take all your stress away and all your anxiety away, because you will be prepared and you will keep calm and you will carry on. Because remember, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. The one thing that I think I would miss would be telephones. If there's no electricity, then telephones won't work. Landlines require electricity to work, but mobile phones need charging too. But there is a way you can charge your phone in your car if you have one. So if you really need it in an emergency to call a relative to check on them, charge your mobile phone with your car engine running and tell them to do the same ahead of a crisis or a power cut. Or even, young people and commuters probably have a power bank that you can recharge when the electricity is on. You can recharge and it will recharge your phone. I don't know how that works, but you recharge the charger and then download that to your phone or operate. I don't know, young people know these things. But you may feel a bit isolated in if there's no communication or TV or video. But don't, because when the modern means of communication fail, use your traditional means of communication. Talk to your neighbours, talk to people that live nearby, and you will find that they are in exactly the same position. They just need to chat to somebody. Do that over the fence, knock on the door, check on them to make sure they're okay. We've did that during lockdown, and we can do it again in a power cut. And you'll be surprised that you are stronger than you think, because you're surviving a crisis together. So don't become isolated. And it's important for your well-being and for everybody else's that you keep calm and carry on. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And remember, God is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Have a conversation with him. He's waiting to hear from you, and he knows exactly what you're going through, and he'll bring you comfort in the storms of life. So keep the communication with God going, and when the next crisis passes, keep communicating with him anyway, because prayer is just a conversation with God, and you get to know him more. Pick up that Bible and you will catch a glimpse of the Almighty, all-powerful maker of heaven and earth, our loving God, who is still in control. Now, in one particular flood situation, Noah, in Genesis chapter 8, verses 20 to 22, when disaster hit the whole earth, a mighty flood, God said, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood, and never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done." God said that. And he said in the next verse, "As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." Trust God on this. He says it. And in Psalm 34, verse 8 to 10, in the New NIV version of the Bible, it says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Fear the Lord, you his holy people, for those who fear him lack nothing. The lions may grow weak and hungry, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing." So keep communication with God going. Remember, he's available 24/7, 365 days a year. And he's waiting for you to speak to him. Why wait until a crisis happens? Why not start now? God is just a conversation away. Always available. Never too busy. Never engaged so you can't get through, just like some energy suppliers. But now you've dusted off that old Bible, read Psalm 91 about the Lord's protection over you in a time of crisis. It's definitely worth a read. So I'll leave you with the blessing that he gives in the Old Testament again. I always try and do this And if I forget, I'm sorry, but I just want to pray this over you. Say that the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Remember, keep calm and carry on, and communicate. Communicate with God. You'll find that he has the answer to everything. So God bless you, and I may see you soon.